KMTV Action 3 News live at 5 starts now with a winter weather alert.
Another blast of winter weather this morning created a rough commute as Omahans made their way to work. Good evening, I'm Craig DeGrelli.
And I'm Jennifer Griswold. Tonight we have team coverage of this morning's snow. Josh Egbert is in Sarpy County with a look at how drivers handled it there. And Megan Matthews is in Council Bluffs with how conditions got worse the farther south you went. First, let's get a check of the latest weather conditions with meteorologist Jim Flowers in the Control Comfort Weather Center. Jim?
Jen, we're going to start by taking a look at some of the amounts that have been reported in. Last night we were talking about the band of heaviest snow aligning itself very close to that I-80 corridor, and that is exactly where it wound up. Northern York County across Lancaster County, then over toward Nebraska City, as far south as Tecumseh. This is where that band set up. North and south of that band, roughly 2 to as much as 4 inches of snow fell. Out at Valley, 3.1. We measured 3.5 here, 2.9 at Epley, and you can see the amounts generally around 3 to 4 inches elsewhere, although Lincoln kind of led the way with 6.6 inches. Sat over Lincoln for quite a while this morning. If we take a look at Threat Tracker next few days, the big thing for the weekend, Friday and Saturday, is how warm is it going to be? We're looking at possibly a big meltdown by the weekend. More on that coming up.
All right, Jim, we'll look forward to that. Continuing our team coverage now, despite 2 rounds of winter weather in less than a week, delivery trucks and the crews responsible for keeping the roads clear had to find a way to get the job done. KMTV Action 3 News reporter Josh Egbert has more on the men and women who work no matter what the conditions. Josh.
Yeah, Craig, it's been a busy week for snowplow drivers as that second winter storm made its way through the area. You can't tell here tonight, but that second storm hit just in time for this morning's commute, causing some challenges for drivers. Jason Turner calls it an important job. He's got beer to deliver to the Speedy Mart in Gretna. His day began just as the snow was intensifying.
When I first came in, they were a little not too good.
Jason's delivery schedule was hampered a bit by slick, snow-covered roads.
I saw a lot of people having some difficulties, smaller vehicle, car-wise, but it turned out to be okay.
By mid-morning, though, the snow had quit falling. In its wake, accidents all across the metro, including this one near 168th and Center. Dozens of snowplows were out in full force, getting the major roadways cleared.
Pretty clear, actually. Main roads were good, neighborhoods not so good.
Josh Schneider and his wife didn't venture out until early afternoon. Neither did Lisa Hayford, giving the crews plenty of time to clean up. She says while the main roads were pretty clear, it's those side streets that are still snow-packed.
We've had a plow go through our neighborhood. We're part of an SID, so we've had a plow go through, so it's been pretty good.
But just as fast as those plows cleared the main roads, like Highway 6 in Gretna, came those winds. Gusts up to 30 miles per hour blew that freshly fallen snow across the highway, causing at times whiteout conditions. And that 1-2 punch of snow and then wind just reminds drivers that this winter weather is more than just snow. And as you can see, some of this, the roadways have begun to melt, and that could be tricky for drivers tomorrow morning. The temperatures, it is starting to get very cold out here, and all this wet, slushy, melting snow will freeze to the road. So tomorrow morning's commute, take it easy out there because it could be another dicey one. Reporting live along Highway 370, Josh Egbert, KMTV Action 3 News.
There are several snow emergencies in effect. The city of La Vista had crews working all day and lifted their snow emergency at 5. People in Gretna are asked not to park on city streets until 6 while crews finish up clearing the roads there. Fremont snow emergency continues until 8 tonight, and in Blair, the snow emergency is in effect until 10 Friday morning.
While schools were closed, people still had to go to work today, and some had to do it on foot. KMTV Action 3 News reporter Emily Zink has that story from downtown Omaha.
It's tough when you don't have the boots on. It really is.
Alfonso Treadway arrived to Omaha last night lacking some essential winter gear. So at the peak of the snow, he went searching for some boots.
That's what I'm working on, trying to get some things today because I need some things. And, just, trying to enjoy the weather for what it's worth.
Treadway says while he was walking downtown this morning, he was surprised by the amount of foot traffic.
Today I actually walked from where I live.
Mary Beth Fontanini usually catches the city bus near her house, but had to walk almost 10 blocks to catch another bus during the peak of this morning's snow. Because of slick and snow-packed roads, metro routes were deviated.
It's irritating, but it happens, so you just have to make the best of it and move on.
Mary Beth realized it was slow going around much of the city and the morning commute was out of her hands, so she just enjoyed the snow.
It's inconvenient and it's frustrating at times, but mostly it's pretty and it's picturesque.
Emily Zink, KMTV Action 3 News.
In Omaha, once the city's major streets are cleared, you have 24 hours to clean up your sidewalks. This is an example of why that city code exists. We found a postal worker near 31st and Martha struggling to get through and deliver the mail up to his knees there. The city says sidewalks must be safe and passable.
Areas to the south of Omaha saw a bit more snow. Continuing our team coverage now, Megan Matthews headed down the I-29 and is live with what she discovered. Megan.
Craig, I went as far as Nebraska City to check out those road conditions today, and in Council Bluffs, the roads were decent, but when we hit the exit for Bellevue, it got worse right after that. Once we hit that exit, roads started to feel a little dicey. Only one lane was clear for drivers headed south on I-29. Blowing snow was an issue, especially when a semi would pass a car. That would kick up whiteout conditions. Plows even stopped for a breather this morning. A Fremont County driver says it was hard keeping up with all the blowing snow.
Just a lot of blowing and drifting. The wind's the main thing now, but it needs to stop. I'm glad the snow stopped. We got several inches already. We have no more snow. We don't need any more snow. I don't have any place to put it.
Nebraska City saw about 5 inches of snow, but that's not an official total number. Coming up tonight at 6, hear from drivers about how those county roads were earlier this morning. Reporting live in Council Bluffs, Megan Matthews, KMTV Action 3 News.
The heavy snow during this morning's commute forced Deffenbaugh to cancel trash collection today. It's expected to start again tomorrow, but will be a day behind. In other words, if your pickup day is Wednesday, it'll move to Thursday and so on for the rest of the week. Crews will work on Sunday if they need to. If you got missed earlier this week, you're asked to call and report your address. That number is right there on your screen. We also have that number online. You can stay up to date with the latest weather conditions, cancellations, and traffic alerts by heading to KMTV.com.
Investigators now believe slick roads were a factor in a head-on crash on Highway 6 near Council Bluffs yesterday. Potawatomi County Sheriff's investigators say a van driven by Tommy Manheim of Ralston hit an icy patch and crossed the center line. The van hit a car, that green car that you saw there. That car went down an embankment. The driver is in good condition. The driver of the van was not hurt.
A former Omaha daycare worker will go to prison for child porn. A judge gave James Klinkner a 6-year prison sentence after he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of child porn. Prosecutors dropped 29 other counts. Officers arrested Klinkner after Bellevue police received a tip from somebody in Germany who said Klinkner shared the porn.
A suspect in a South Omaha murder arrested in Texas will come back to Nebraska to face charges. 19-year-old Ari Soto, who you see here, waived extradition today in a San Antonio courtroom. U.S. Marshals nabbed him over the weekend. He's wanted for the murder of Roberto Gonzalez at 24th and P about 2 weeks ago. Marshals will bring Soto back here to face charges. Prosecutors expect him to be in court next week.
Omaha police are investigating the city's latest armed robbery. A man came into the Family Dollar near North 30th and Newport Avenue just before 11 this morning. He had a gun and demanded cash. As he was grabbing the money, he fired his gun. After that, the man ran out of the store. Police described the suspect as a black male who's about 5'9". An Omaha woman is recovering tonight from injuries she suffered during an apartment fire. Flames broke out around 10 o'clock this morning at North 48th and Sailor. The woman was using the stove to heat her apartment when something nearby caught fire and fell onto a rug. The rug then went up in flames. Firefighters were able to use water cans to put it out. The woman went to the hospital because she was having trouble breathing.
To the Big Red Now report, the faxes are in and 20 high school players have signed on the dotted line to join the Huskers 2015 recruiting class. Sports Director Phil Aldridge is here to tell us who's coming to Lincoln. Phil.
Love those fax machines, Craig. Everybody's familiar with the traditional holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Arbor Day. Well, National Signing Day might as well be an unofficial holiday to hardcore college football fans. All eyes were on Lincoln today on Mike Riley's first recruiting class with the Huskers. And from what all the experts are saying, Riley did it pretty well for himself in this first class. There will be 20 brand new Huskers in the class of 2015 from all over the country, consisting of 5 4-star players, 12 3-stars, including Omaha Central defensive end Deshaun Neal and Omaha North's Michael Decker. Number 78 will open gaping holes for Calvin Strong last season. And Riley, he also added 3 2-star players. Now, this recruiting thing is not an exact science, and nobody really knows for sure how the talents that made these kids stars in high school will translate to major college football. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from Coach Riley and let you know where some of the other local players will be continuing their football careers.
All right, very good, Phil. Meteorologist Jim Flowers is here. And Jen, we saw the snow this morning, and I suppose as we transition to the evening, the story is going to be the cold.
Yeah, and the streets, if they're wet, as I was coming into work, they looked pretty wet.
Right,
so
right.
if that starts to freeze.
Probably going to refreeze a little bit later on tonight. So, yeah, be advised of that for tomorrow morning's commute. Let's take a look at Threat Tracker. The biggest news we have there is a big warm-up headed our way for Friday and Saturday. The only question is, how warm is it going to get? There is an awful lot of Pacific air sitting about 2,500 feet off the ground. All we have to do is get it down to the ground. We're going to see temperatures in the 40s and even 50s. In fact, if it weren't for the snow, we'd be looking at upper 60s on Saturday. Let's take a look at conditions outdoors right now. Actually, a beautiful sunset, quite a bit different than the morning drive. 13 degrees right now. Winds are northwest currently, 8 miles an hour. Dew point still above 0, but that'll begin changing a little bit later on tonight. Across the city, temperatures are running in the mid-teens. Out to the west of us, 12 in Columbus, also in York. For you folks in western Iowa, lower in mid-teens. Nebraska City has 15, currently 18 in Falls City. If you missed us at the top of the broadcast, based on the reports that have come in, it appears the heaviest snow lined up from about northern York County or right across the Lincoln Metro. Some of the heavier totals in the city of Lincoln itself, and then it kind of turned a little bit more toward the east and southeast, impacting Nebraska City and also down around Tecumseh. Individual totals, Valley wound up with 3.1. We measured 3.5 here at the studios. I also measured 3.5 in West O. 2.9 at Epley. Look at Lincoln, 6.6 inches. That band that we thought would set up in northern Lancaster County, well, guess what? That is exactly what happened. 6.6 there, Fremont 3.5, and they had 4 inches in Clarinda. If we take a look at where that snow is now, Viper HD has got that down in Missouri, not as impressive as it was this morning. That band's been weakening as it pushes off toward the southeast. Even the back edge of it, some light flurries over eastern Colorado have begun to fall apart. Satellite photography beginning to pick up the cold air at the ground now, and it's going to be a cold night tonight. We'll start out tomorrow below 0, probably down around 5 below. The good news is that with a south breeze, temperatures begin warming up as we head toward 12 o'clock. Readings will be in the upper teens. And then tomorrow, high temperatures should reach the mid-20s, actually middle and upper 20s off to the south. The forecast then for tonight, mainly clear but cold out, low 5 below. Threat tracker for the overnight is in the moderate category, but for the daytime hours tomorrow, we're fine. Tomorrow's high up around 25 on a south wind at 10 to 20 miles an hour. The forecast over the next 3 days again. The only question is, can we get some of that warm air down to the ground? Is not that far away. 48 with the snow on the ground on Friday, 52 on Saturday. Some flurries, slightly cooler conditions expected for next week, but still not too bad with readings in the 30s and 40s. Now, with that possibility of freezing tomorrow morning, you may want to get up a little bit earlier. Watch Early Riser with Matt and Ryan. They'll keep you posted on some of the road conditions there, and could be kind of a slick commute, so we may have to allow some extra time for refreezing tomorrow morning. Jen, Craig?
All right, thanks, Jim. Crews continue their work today to move what's left of a commuter train and an SUV that collided in New York. A look at the investigation into the deadly crash.
Also, rescuers rushed to get passengers out of an airplane before it could sink to the bottom of a river where the dramatic crash happened. Next.
Experience